like to call the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Freda,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Ortega,
Aye.
Jean,
Here.
and Reinhardt.
Here. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The land acknowledgement is Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my honor to present the land acknowledgement on behalf of the board. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also called this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-native people to live and work on traditional native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
So move approval. Second.
So motion and a second. Roll call.
McGuire,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Freda,
Aye.
and Reinhardt.
Aye. And next are the minutes from September 3rd.
Move approval. Second.
So motion and a second. Roll call.
McGuire,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Freda,
Aye.
and Reinhardt.
Aye. The administrative items, I'll turn to Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move item number 3, the Public Safety Answering Point Funding Allocation Project. Number 4, the resolution for Minnesota Management and Budget for release of bond funding for Battle Creek Waterworks Project. Item 5, participation in the Comprehensive Improvement Special Service District for downtown St. Paul. Can we pull that? Pull that, thank you. Item 6, repurchase of a tax forfeited property located at 127 Acker Street East, St. Paul. 7, repurchase of a tax forfeited property located at 820 Ocean Street, St. Paul. Number 8, repurchase of a tax forfeited property located at 934 Orange Avenue East in St. Paul. And number 9, the settlement agreement in Simpson versus Joyful Homes and all.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
McGuire,
Aye.
Moran,
Aye.
Ortega,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Freda,
Aye.
and Reinhardt.
Aye. We'll go back to item number 5, which is participation in the Comprehensive Improvement Special Service District for downtown St. Paul. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
So motion and a second. Commissioner Moran.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to get some more information on what we're doing there and why.
Yeah. And Jean Kruger, Director of Property Management. This is one that I believe we had the workshop on. Actually, I think it was here. A policy item a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Just as a reminder.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner Moran. You may recall about a month ago, we did have a presentation here at one of the board meetings that was provided an update on this by Joe Spencer with the St. Paul Downtown Alliance that talked about this, at the time, plan request to expand the improvement district from downtown, which did not cover the whole downtown area, nor did it extend into Lower Town at all. So the Downtown Alliance has gone before St. Paul. The City Council has approved their request to expand the district and to, in essence, administer the fees that go along with that downtown improvement district. And that was approved by the council. It is now ordinance, and the objection period that follows an ordinance has now expired. There were no objections to stop the ordinance. So in effect, the expanded district is now a reality, and it will be in effect as of January 1, 2025. As a governmental unit, we are not being residential, commercial, et cetera. We are not, in essence, obligated to contribute financially to the district, but the board has in the past, and again, being asked to be a voluntary participant in the funding of the district.
Madam Chair. And so our portion is the $199,000.
That would be the Ramsey County portion, yes.
I am glad that we are expanding to all of downtown St. Paul versus some of it. I don't know why it took so long for them to recognize it's one downtown and cover all of that, so that we can ensure that it is safe, it is thriving, and we are investing in what that looks like and can be and should be. So thank you for the reminder and the check-in.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And just, it's $199,000 for the whole area, but we were paying something before that. So it's not brand new as far as the amount.
Correct, yes, Madam Chair. For 2024, in that smaller footprint, the county's buildings that were in the footprint, we were contributing about $150,000. And now with the expanded territory that now encompasses what is our 160 East Kellogg building, and separately you'll see this reflected in the Rail Authority meeting later, includes Union Depot. So they were not previously part of the district, and they will be now.
Yes, and that portion would be paid through the regional rail.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to point out that one of the things that, if I remember correctly, that we talked about was, once they get this done, then let's move them up on the rail line, specifically some of the areas that are more problematic. Because from the information that was provided, they're doing a really good job. And it's not only cleaner, but it's safer, and it's people are getting help when they need help, rather than just calling the police if there's a problem. So,
Well, if that is happening, that is good work.
yes, it is, and that's how come.
Especially for the Union Depot.
Yes, so that is some of the stuff that is happening there. I mean, the police do the police work, but there's a lot that can be done that will prevent the need for police, and it's not just cleaning things up. It's actually working in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Jean.
Aye.
Brother.
Aye.
And Reinhardt.
Aye. We will move now then to county connections.
Knowing that we have the budget hearing later, I'm going to defer my items until next week. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Then we'll do outside board and committee reports. I'm looking to see who looks like they're ready. Okay. I'm going to go with Commissioner Fretham.
Did I look like I was ready?
I have to tell you, when I looked around, it was like, okay.
Really, the only thing that's happened in the last week is we had our JDA. Oh, well, I suppose we didn't do anything for 2 weeks. Well, last week we had a JDA work session in Arden Hills. Want to thank our government relations staff and our contractors with GOF for coming and talking about last legislative session work on our number one priority bonding request for infrastructure at Rice Creek Commons and our plans to continue to work towards state bonding dollars for this huge regional asset in the 2025 session. Also, we are digging into the contractual needs for moving forward to get to a final development agreement. We are in a really promising and optimistic place on a purchase and sale agreement, and our partnership with Aladdis and the city of Arden Hills is going very well to make sure that we can firm things up and start work as we complete design on the spine road and to look at mass grading and starting to build our spine road. Also want to note I was able to participate at the Lake Owasso Family Picnic. I know some other commissioners and County Manager Becker were there. Always enjoy seeing my neighbors at Lake Owasso residents, so happy for the invite and to get to see the updates they've made recently. Thank you to Amelia, I'm going to butcher your last name, Amelia Mass from NYFS, who has been there for 25 years, is moving on to her next adventure, but she has put so much into NYFS, and best of luck to her, and a thank you to her for her service and for making sure the organization was in a really good place before she left. And I'll stop there.
Commissioner Moran.
Okay, let me start with something excited that I wait every year to participate in, which is the Jazz Fest. So Jazz Fest happened Saturday on Selby Avenue in St. Paul, really home of the historical Rondo community. It was just really good to just show up, you know, because it's just a moment for us to come together, to celebrate culture, to meet and greet our neighbors and have a good time. And for me, it's like an old-fashioned block party, right, where you just have a good time with each other, great food, great vendors. Ramsey County has several tables there to talk about our services that we provide here, including workforce and other services. And so that was, and the weather held out. For some reason, the clouds, you know, Mother Nature did what she does and allowed it to be a really, really good event. I attended the AMC Fall Policy Conference in Alexandria, Minnesota, where I am on the Health and Human Service Policy Committee, and a lot of good conversations with other county commissioners and stakeholders around the issues that impact counties around health and human service. Definitely looking at technology, the SSIS, looking at the African American Family Preservation Act, and I wish I wrote it down, but there's like 5 top priority areas that we're going to move forward. So really good to come together and to discuss and plan those priorities. I'm going to wait to have a more in-depth conversation about the work we're doing around bail reform. We held our first community, another executive meeting along with a community meeting around bail reform, and there's a lot of good things happening and a couple of wins. And so I want to be very specific on what those wins were, because it's really important for the community to know that after 5 years of coming to the table, having these discussions, giving their input, their lived experiences, that we heard them. And there are some really tangible results that comes out of what we did around bail reform. I'm really excited a lot maybe, around the Ramsey County Recycling and Energy Board. I've had opportunity to attend 2 right now, and I am learning a lot around recycling and energy. So it's a good place for me to be and become more informed on the issues around energy. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. Commissioner Jean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will work backwards from our last meeting here, but just the highlights. I won't go to everything. But yesterday we with the extension, we celebrated, and Commissioner Moran and I, we presented a proclamation, a community proclamation to the. Oh, sorry. What did I say?
You said Moran.
Oh,
We
I'm
get
so
mixed-
sorry.
We get mixed up all the time.
I'm looking at you, but I said Moran. Okay, I'm so sorry. We presented to the farm family in Ramsey County. So as you all know, Ramsey County is super built out, so it was really hard to find a farm family. Thank you to Commissioner Fretham. She found one in her district as well, Frisk from Buxton.
Risk for boxing.
Fresh from the
Fresh
box.
box in Norwegian.
And it's a container farm. So they have like 2 containers, but they rely on hydroponics to like grow. And we were able to taste some of the produce, the arugula, and it was like really good. It doesn't taste like the ones that you get from the grocery store. And they were just saying that like that's how it's supposed to taste, like fresh like that. And they're a very small farmers because they partner with restaurants who focus on the farm to table. So that's how they've been able to preserve a lot of their quality. And so this farm family, Christopher and Barbara Glasso.
Yes.
Yeah, Glasso, and also Ramsey County residents. So super proud to celebrate them. In addition to that, at the AMC Policy Committee, I am on the government, general government, housing economic committee, and first I presented about what our county was doing about our LAHA and SAHA dollars, sharing with folks about the things that we were all doing, and of course gave kudos to our CED team for a lot of their work, because I also the presentation we've been doing, I was just able to use that and present it to them. In addition to that, our committee, we discussed a lot of issues, but more importantly, it's about how a lot of the state mandates impact our budget, our general levy. And I proud to share that I did really push really hard to say we need to get more state support for a lot of the things that they're asking for us to do, because as I'm looking at the general trend, our general levy that makes up our budget has increased, and it's about 45% now that we use our general levy to cover our budget, and the intergovernmental aid that and the grants from different governments, it just makes just a smaller share of it. Mm-hmm. So it just means that we just cannot continue to rely on property taxes to fund federal and state mandates for us. The other items are elections funding, were items that we discussed. Tax forfeiture, cleanup assistance and policy changes again, and local sales tax mechanism for local county projects outside legislative approval. So those are policy items we are tracking and will be discussing and will be bringing forward to the board. Finally, the Healthy Minnesota Partnership is a group of both nonprofit service providers, healthcare providers, and also public health boards. I'm a representative from SHAC that got appointed to this, and so we've worked all year long to identify issues that we were going to work on, and we narrowed it down to mental health and well-being, housing and homelessness, and healthcare systems, and also substance use. So those are the work groups that we have agreed to create and will, work towards on. Yeah.
So for the people that are listening, you might want to tell them what SHAC is.
It's so hard. So the statewide community health advisory.
Statewide healthcare advisory, health advisory committee.
Yes.
Statewide health advisory committee, SHAC.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's that is one of the most important ones as far as the funding that is coming in and really trying to figure out how to best use it at the county level, because that's where we need it. Anyhow, but I didn't want you know, when we say these things, sometimes we forget that people are listening and they're going, that she's with what? Anyhow, Commissioner McGuire.
You done?
Yep.
Yes. Well, she said finally, so
She said finally, thanks, okay. So many interesting things. I so love when we go around. I know we're trying to, you know, keep it tight today, but it's so interesting to hear all my colleagues and all the work that they're doing, because we're all, you know, working so hard. And I'm going to continue on with the Association of Minnesota Counties Public Policy Conference that we were all at. And I just am so appreciative of my colleagues being at those committee meetings, because it's so important that we're there to give our voice, because that's where the policies are decided, and we do come up with our priorities at the committee meetings, and then in December, when we're at our annual meeting, we'll be voting on those priorities. But our voices in those committee meetings are so important. And with that, I'll just say that I serve on the Public Safety Committee, and we have great presentations at that. And we heard from our Commissioner of Corrections, Paul Chanel, and Commissioner Chanel talked to us about the Minnesota Rehabilitation Reinvestment Act and Community Supervision Act, and we are a community supervision county, and we need funding from the state to really help with our probation services. And so we had a great conversation with him. They really want to start really addressing the jail, you know, the crowding in our jails and in our prisons. And so they want to release people into the community to be served in the community, which is a good thing, but they need to they need to help us with resources for that. So we had a good conversation on that. We had a great conversation on ambulance services, which is a really big need in the rural areas, and then an emergency response panel for our 911 calls. You know, we have a service in this state that we all assume is working, and we just need to keep putting resources into it to make sure that it's modernized and that it's effective. So when you call, you get an answer, and your location can be selected. So there's a lot of really important issues that are going on in public safety. I will say that at the end of the meeting, we were grateful that Sheila Cascaden came from the Committee on Human Services to present a resolution that they had passed in Human Services that she thought public safety should look at, and it was asking AMC to form a working group with county partners and others to identify gaps in Minnesota's mental health system and identify solutions. So AMC is really serious about, you know, getting all of their committees on board with our mental health system, and these are issues that we immediately passed out of our committee as well as an effort to get AMC to do that. And we also talked a lot about modernization of our health and human services system, because it's such a big deal for our county, but for all counties, that we have a system that talks to each other within our human services system. So AMC is doing great work. We also, in our general sessions, had a session on elections, navigating county election administration. We had one on the navigating grant opportunities for county governments from the federal and state government. So we have a lot of opportunities there. So it was how to help our counties navigate that, and then preparing for cannabis, practical steps for counties, and then of course our committee meetings. So these are really important meetings for all of us to be going to, and I'm just grateful that we were that we were all there to be participating in that. Other things going on besides the AMC Policy Conference was a couple weeks ago, the Ramsey County League of Local Government had a climate action workshop. So they're really focusing on climate action. Good, thank you. Then if you could talk about that, that would be great. I just wanted to note that they're doing that. And then they had a meeting on last Friday that reviewed what they did at the workshop. But it's an effort on climate action, and they're also working on artificial intelligence. So they had a meeting last Friday on artificial intelligence. So the League of Local Governments, which is just a reminder to people, all of the cities in Ramsey County and the school districts and other partners get together on a regular basis to talk about issues that impact all of us. I will also say that we let's see what coming up this week. Mounds View Business, the Mounds View New Brighton Business Council is meeting on Thursday morning, and they're doing cybersecurity for businesses. Also coming up on Saturday, it's the Wild Rice Festival in Central Park in Roseville. It's interesting that we have one of the largest wild rice festivals in the area in Roseville from 10 to 4 at Roseville Central Park. We bring in the Native American community. It talks about how they do wild rice. It's a really, really great event. And then on Saturday morning, also at 7 o'clock in the morning, Project Heats On is where the unions come together and meet for breakfast, but then they all voluntarily go out to residents' homes who are in need. They work with CAPRW to find homes that are needing to have their heat, make sure that when they turn their heat on, it's going to work. And I just want to give a shout out to the unions that do this. They do volunteer their time, and they get hundreds of people that will go out to the homes to really help people with their heat, getting their heat on. And then in the spring, they go heats off. They go and make sure that when they turn the heat off. So just shout out to the businesses that do that. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to report, give a shout out to Cruz, who had the Hispanic Festival this weekend. It was larger than ever. Several thousand people attended. They blocked off 2 blocks, I think, and had 2 stages of music. And they've been doing it now for about 15 years, so it was very successful. So congrats to Cruz.
Thank you. I will try to get through things pretty quickly. So I'm just going to put them out there and not do a lot of explanation. Okay. As you know, the MELSA board, that is the libraries in the 7 counties and the city of St. Paul, has hired a new executive director. Her name is Sherry Anderson. She'll start in October. She is from Wisconsin, so she has to relocate. And she's getting married in the second week of October. So there's a lot that's going to go on there. But she brings wealth of information, not only from the libraries and how they work together, but also policy and working with legislators and bringing in a lot of community engagement. So excited to have her on board. The Ramsey County League of Local Governments had the climate action event, and I did go to that, and people broke down basically in the tables by city or kind of areas, and were able to talk. There was a lot of information that was provided, and then we sat down and said, okay, what are you doing? And what can you learn from this? What can White Bear Lake learn from Roseville? And really exchanging information. And so some are further ahead, but all of the folks that were there were really excited about what Ramsey County is doing as far as the climate equity action plan. And also, of course, what we're doing with the anaerobic digester and from the waste side, and the organics, the food waste. So that was, it was a really good event. So the recycling and energy, Commissioner Moran already spoke to that. Lake Owasso, the picnic was great. It always is. I also went on there's a Pig's Eye Landfill Task Force who is going to be reporting back to the legislature on what options should go forward legislatively to try to address the issues there. There's so many different components to this, and it's a problem that's been around for, 70 years or something, a long time, and every time that we've looked at it in the past, I think the last time was about 20 years ago, they find out how big the problem is, and then they go away, because it's so big that it's hard to understand how you can actually mitigate it. We're not going to solve it. I mean, I know that there are folks that say we should dig it out and put it someplace else, and that just seems, at the very least, disingenuous to me, make it somebody else's problem. But there are ways to deal with it that will make it better for the community and better for the natural spaces out there. So they did a walking tour, and I went on that, and it's truly a magical place that very few people know about. And so I'm excited about all of the things that we're learning, but being there, talking about it is one thing, but actually being there and seeing what the possibilities are and where the problems are, but just the pure natural beauty of it. You can't see all the stuff that's going on underneath, obviously, but it is a beautiful place, and people do go there all the time. So I wanted to highlight that. And then finally, the AMC Policy Conference, probably the most important conference that we have, because it sets AMC is a legislative, helps us with legislation on a statewide level for all counties. And so setting those priorities, the resolutions actually don't get adopted until December and become part of the platform, but setting the priorities is so important. And the number one priority, that it didn't matter if you were from a rural county or a metropolitan county, and because you only have one vote, clearly there's more rural counties in these policy committee meetings than there are metro. But everyone, it didn't matter where you were from, we're talking about solid waste issues. And excited to hear about the anaerobic digester, but also just trying to figure out, okay, what will work for us? Because, even the difference between mass burn and recycling or refuse-derived fuel. Mass burn, you have to have a constant feed, which makes it very difficult. So anyhow, we also noted that we talked a little bit, and this was a subgroup that talked a little bit about the name of the committee is the Environment and Natural Resources Committee. You wouldn't look at that and say, oh, well, they deal with solid waste. And so we thought about, well, getting a name change would be difficult. But we did talk about it's not been completed yet, but we at least planted the seed, I guess, for having a subcommittee on energy and waste. And because it was the number one priority. We only did 2 priorities, and this one was adopted unanimously. And it was for the whole solid waste management system and how we can, and up to and including emerging technologies, so that we're not just stuck with that, and the fact that obviously we need money from the state to help do that. By the way, on the pig's eye, one of the reasons that it always stalled was because it was looking to the city of St. Paul primarily to fund it all. And so when we worked on getting the legislation to form the task force, one of the things that we said was, we have to agree right now, before we even try this, that it's not one entity, because they can't do it. We're setting it up for failure. And Congresswoman McCollum was there, so she's also talking about federal. So we have to stop it. As I said, we have to stop admiring the problem and get it done. So I'm excited for the report to come out and to see what it is. There's nothing that's going to make everybody happy, but we're going to address this problem. We have to. Okay, with that, I will adjourn this meeting, and we will then, do you want to stay there to do the, okay. Because we're going right from the regional rail, depending on how much time this one takes, to the budget committee. Yeah, I know. They've got to do something about the clock up there. We all look to go. Okay, yeah, that's right.
We're at 9:36.
Okay. Okay, so I will adjourn the county board meeting.
Are you ready, Lou?
Yes, I am.
Here.